Good morning. Hope everybody is doing well. What a great week. I mean, just an incredibly awesome week that we've had. Busy as can be, a lot of Dale Carnegie classes going on all over the area. And something that Dale Carnegie did this year is we're giving this global day of giving. And a lot of the franchises did it a couple of days ago. We'll be doing ours tomorrow. So really excited about that too. Today's subject matter, dialogue. Dialogue. What is dialogue? Yesterday, I was over in Lake City and I asked a number of people, almost everybody that I ran into, I asked them this simple thing, when you think of dialogue, what does it mean to you? And to a person, everybody said, two people talking. It wasn't like, well, I think it's just two people talking. So dialogue is both a noun and a verb. It's a noun when you start thinking about things like dialogue in a book or in a movie or in a story or whatever. And it's a verb when you're saying that, it's two people talking. Dialogue. You're having a dialogue with somebody. But something gets missed in the word dialogue or in the notion of dialogue. And that is that it's not actually two people talking. It's one person talking and the other person listening. And then that exchange of that. Because the listening sometimes gets thrown out the window when we start talking about dialogue. And, our whole world could use some dialogue nowadays. A couple of things that came as an examples in the last couple of weeks is I was working with a client who runs a company. I won't mention any names or anything else. And they had a client that had a somewhat bad experience. And when you looked at all the facts, which I got a chance to look at all the facts, it was something that the business couldn't do anything about. Yet this gentleman, he sent a nasty email and then there was a real nice email in response. He didn't like the answer, so he sent a nasty email to corporate. And one of the things about dialogue is you can't hide behind something. When you meet somebody one-on-one and have a discussion about what a challenge is or what's going on or any topic, you're right there meeting with them. But nowadays, something that we didn't do in the past is we can hide behind things like voicemail or email, where it's really easy for somebody to sit down and write an email, a scathing email with very few truths in it about somebody else, because you're hiding behind that, and it's a dialogue. I was with another client the other day, and they were talking about one of their employees who had made a mistake. And this person tried to engage them in a dialogue regarding it. There was nothing happening from that person. He did nothing but, blame it on somebody else and walk away from the situation, which again, that doesn't help. That doesn't help at all. So we need to start learning how to go back into the past and learning how to have dialogue with people, how to sit down and have conversations. Before emails, you really didn't send letters to people. You sent letters of complaints, but usually it was a phone call. And back when I was a youngster, we didn't have voicemail. So if nobody answered, you didn't leave a message. You kept on trying until you got to that person, and then you had a conversation with them. But that doesn't happen nowadays. We take the easy way out all the time. And the easy way out is to avoid any type of conflict, and you leave a message. It's almost like I did my job. I told them what I wanted to tell them, and that's it. Boom. But my goodness, where has happened to dialogue? I'll give you an example. Again, I take my son's lead on these things, and I don't bring politics into stuff. Yet, this is a political situation. So the NFL is having this challenge. And do you kneel or you don't kneel? What is it about? Is it about this? Is it about that? You know, it's just a lot of talk. But nobody's talking to one another. There's no dialogue. You know, a tweet goes out and people react. They go on sports talk stations, news stations, and they react. Boom, 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 boom. And they say all these scathing things. Yet there's no dialogue. I guarantee you, I could solve that problem in a nanosecond if I could get the president, the head of the players union, the commissioner of the NFL, and a sampling of 6 to 8 of the most vocal individuals on that, and we all sat in a room without the media, because that's a whole nother thing. The media just likes to churn the pot because it gets more people listening to them, you know. Do it without the media. Sit down and listen to what each other is talking about. Now, again, not to get really political, a lot of people would say, well, I would rather have our president of the United States not talking about the NFL players kneeling. I'd rather have him worrying about North Korea. To me, that's a myopic mind. It's somebody that doesn't get it. This isn't about the flag. It's about, we have an opportunity to change our social future, our racial future, if we could do this right. But it's going to take dialogue. It takes dialogue to get that done. You just can't do it by sending emails or sound bites on television. Personal lives are the same way. Personal lives are the same way. We see it time and time and time again. I hear the stories in class where one person shuts the other person down and walks away. No dialogue. You know, it's just one of those things. When I sit there and talk about challenges that people have in their companies or in their personal lives or whatever, it all comes down to one thing: communication. And dialogue is the huge part of communication. So if you're struggling in some area, if you're at work or if you're someplace else struggling, open up a dialogue with the people. Sit and talk to somebody face to face. You know, again, going back to that NFL thing, I turn on the sports radio to hear sports stories, not to hear Shannon Sharpe sitting there pontificating about what was in Colin Kaepernick's mind. You know, you don't know. You know, you have no idea. You know, it's like a book, right? Here's what happens. See, this is a book, right? So if you only read the right side of every page, you wouldn't read the whole book. You see, on a page, there are 2 sides to it. Just like stories, there are 2 sides. So imagine reading a book where you only read one page all the time, the right side of the page. You never read the left. And that's what's going on too much in our world. Too much, way too much. There's no dialogue. People are just looking at one side of the page. Turn the page and look at the other side. Dang. You know, there's many of things that go on. And again, I'm getting off the target, but I just get so incensed when I hear people talk about our police officers in such a, well, you know, what Colin Kaepernick is doing is getting on his knee because of police brutality. You know what? There's over 900,000 police officers in our country. There are probably a few that do things wrong. And we need to eradicate that. Get it out of here. Get rid of it totally. I agree. But do you think when all of these police officers get shot in the line of duty, that they're only shooting the ones that are bullies? Don't know. Dialogue, folks. We have to open up communications. We have to hear from the other side. In our Dale Carnegie Skills for Success class, session 5, we do a session based upon disagreeing agreeably. It would be a great thing for Congress, for our president, for a lot of people that think they're above others, to sit down and really learn how to have a dialogue with other people. Because just shooting off your mouth, it doesn't work, you know? It doesn't work. And when I heard that yesterday on the radio, I was just so saddened, because I really like Shannon Sharpe. But to hear what he was saying was just like, dude, come on, let's you and I sit down. I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with you, man. Face to face, not on a radio, not spewing off, your egotistical banter. Just sit down and have a dialogue with somebody. If we would do that in our businesses, if we would do that in our personal lives, especially with our children, sit down and have meaningful dialogue with our kids, shut the television off, turn the phones off, turn the Wi-Fi off, nothing else on, sit on a couch and have conversation with your children. It's an amazing thing what you can learn when you share. When you share thoughts and ideas, and you use these things that are stuck on the sides of our heads called ears to listen to other people. It really, really means a lot. I would love to hear the sound that would come from people's mouths when they really sat down and had a meaningful conversation without the media around. Get rid of them. And, that's a whole nother subject for another time. But have dialogue with people, with your friends, with your spouse, with your siblings, with your parents, with your children. Shut off the televisions, turn off all electronics, and sit down and have meaningful dialogue. It's an art that has left our society. It's too easy to send an email out of anger and posting on some blog or putting it on Facebook and hope somebody sees it. Open up dialogue with people. Don't expect them to come to you. You're going to have to go to them. And you may have to shut off their phone and spend some time with them. Have a great weekend. I've got a big day planned. Got a lot of appointments, some good things happening. So I'm going to go have dialogue with people. Listen to them, share some ideas. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Take care.